Hello, scholars, and welcome to the fourth week of POL493 Principles of Public Administration. Here we are already on the fourth week. Time sure does go fast, and if we think about it, this is our peak week. We've gone up the uphill side. Once we get through this fourth week, it's all downhill to week 8. So it's hard to believe, but we're at that halfway point of this course already and of term. So let's answer like we always do. Let's answer a few questions from the weeks prior, and then let's focus on what we have due this week. Uh, the only issue that I have so far in this course this is just an overview for all of you. I'm not really talking to any individual in particular. Is that here in OPS we need to be particularly aware of the due dates of classes or of coursework. In this class in particular, our week ends on Sunday at 11:59. So week 4 starts on Monday at midnight and goes to Sunday at 11:59. And you're going to find this is going to be common in a lot of the online courses at OPS. And we just need to ensure that any coursework that is assigned during the given week is due by Sunday at 11:59. So for an instance, this week we have a quiz 4. All that work's due. If we had a discussion board, that's the entirety of the discussion board, both the post and the replies. So just keep that in mind. And remember that gives you 7 days to complete each assignment in this course. So I don't anticipate any issues with deadlines or getting your work completed, knowing that you have 7 days. The majority of any issue is time management, and that's a key in OPS is time management. Knowing that it's really easy to wait till the last minute on Sunday, but we have the entire week. So I hope that helps some of you. And if there's any questions, and just for clarification, that all the work is due by that date. But if we look here at week 4, we're going to change gears into our readings a little bit. If you see that our readings for week 4 is going to be chapter 5, budgeting and financial management, and chapter 6, the management of human resource. So we're looking at this management concept this week. If we look at our PowerPoints for this week, it's all about human resources. And once again, we have Dr. Ahmada talking to us, and she's going to hit some very critical points in human resource management. For those of you that work in the public sector, a lot of these concepts are going to be commonplace, because for us that work in the public sector, many of us had to get hired through some sort of human resource, or we interacted with human resources and this human capital that we often refer to it in the public administration world. So a lot of these concepts aren't going to be new to you, because you have been a part of it in the hiring process, in your working process, in your career. Those of you that might not work in the public sector, or who anticipate working in the public sector, a lot of these concepts we're going to talk about this week is the difference between private and public sector. What makes the private and public sector difference is a lot of it is the human resource management side, and in particular the way in which we as public employees our hiring practices, the recruitment process, the retention process, the retirement process. A lot of these concepts that we're going to talk about this week are unique to the public employee. So if you're already a public employee, kind of think as through the lecture of like kind of with the mindset is this the way that it works in my organization, or was this the way it worked when I got hired? And if you do work in the private sector, think to yourself, how does this differ from how human resources might be perceived in the private sector? But for us that work in the public sector, like myself, this is how public sector stands out. And a lot of these things we're going to relate to this week in human resource management are the key elements to a public employee. So I hope you really gain some wisdom and some info. You can digest this information this week. The 4 audio files are listed there, 1, 2, and 3, and correlate with the lecture. So that's kind of self-explanatory. If we look in our paper prep and the exploration, we realize once again, week 5, we have our first assignment, week 6, week 8. So week 5 is coming up. Students are to research their pillar paper and compose a scholarly abstract of their paper. Next week, I will give you an example of what I'm looking for an abstract. Those of you that are accustomed to APA format and what an abstract is, if there isn't going to be any surprises. But so for those of you that might be new to what a scholarly abstract is all about, I'll give you an example and a definition of what I'm looking for during our audio lecture next week. But in this week, if you haven't already, I want you to just kind of research your pillar paper topic, and you should really have a topic kind of figured out by this point, or at least a concept. Remember, like I think I spoke of last week, topics are all around us. Every day in the media, especially in the media that we have this last week with our first week of our new presidency. Public administration topics are developing minute by minute and hour by hour. It's a dramatic time to think of all the wishes and executive orders of our new President Trump have to be, or potentially have to be, administrated by the public administrator. Public policy has to be created by the public administrator. And in just this first week, with all of the executive order that has been created out of the president's office, it's a dynamic week. And when it comes to researching a pillar topic, they're all around us. They're all around us. And not to say that something has to come out of the new presidency and the new office. But if you're having trouble finding one, they are everywhere around us. And not only everywhere around us in the presidency, but here in our local governments, our state governments, if you're a public employee. And if you have any issues on what your topic is going to be, shoot me a quick email and say, hey, this is what I'm into. Is this going to be something that works? And if you have any questions, you can always go that route. And if not, I'm sure there's I'm hopefully that you're at a point now where you've chose your topics, and if you just want some clarification, always feel free to give me a call or to give me a quick email, and we'll get that all figured out. And then once we get that topic, remember in week 6 that we're going to create a template for our paper, and that's where we're going to then add our APA format, our cover page, references, and a template. And I'll give you a template example. For in week 6 of what I want, but we should start looking for our scholarly sources for week 6. And remember, scholarly sources can include journals, articles, books, reputable websites. Remember, like Wikipedia's, that sort of sites. These info sharing sites, these wikis, they're not necessarily scholarly sites. Google Scholar is my go-to on a lot of these. If you use Google Scholar, if you use the university's library, if it's a .edu, those types of things will be scholarly. So hope you have good luck with that and start figuring out a few of these scholarly sites to get that figured out. And then that all accumulates, or it all comes to fruition when we write our 10 to 12 paper on week 8. So it seems like it's a long ways off, but remember we're halfway there, and we're going to be there before you know it. So let's just right now ensure that we all have a topic and we're ready to write our abstract in the weeks to come. The next thing we have here is we've added a couple fun things, I guess, if you want to call them fun. We added a crossword and a word search. Not only have we uploaded these, but we've also uploaded the answers. And what you're going to find is some key terms that are critical to your understanding of public administration and the principles of public administration. So I didn't add these here to see how well versed you are at doing crosswords or word search. That's not the intent whatsoever. And if that's a skill of yours, I commend you. And if it's something that you're not very good at, it's okay as well. What I want you to focus on these week are the actual words that you're looking for. So if there is, say, a theorist, and you see the word, the name Weber or Weber, but we pronounce it Weber. It shouldn't be like, oh, I wonder why they want me to find this in a word search, or man, I found it in a word search really good. I must be doing well in this course. What I want you to do is see that name and think to yourself, oh, I've thought of that. I've seen that name. I've read about that name. This Max Weber. what was that guy? Oh yeah, he was that guy who introduced that concept of bureaucracy. And I want those things to start click in your mind. So in the word search and in the crossword, if you see a name or you see a title or you see a concept, I want there to be a little light bulb that goes off and says like, I understand what that is. Or if you don't have that light bulb that goes off, that you think to yourself, well, you know what, I'm going to actually look in my book, or I might Google, or I might do a little research on this individual or this concept or this term, because obviously it's important. And if you see it here, you're probably going to see it again at some point in this course. And these are these couple dozen terms are the core concept that we really want you to understand, to be fluent in. So if throughout this during the crossword or word search, if you see those, um, kind of kind of do a little self-analysis of yourself. If you recognize them, if you understand them, if you don't, take a couple moments out of your busy schedules and understand what they are. So we have the word search as well. Once again, answers and the puzzle, some of the Cree terminology and pillars, and then we have our quiz this week. Once again, chapter 5 and 6 of the lecture. If you actually read chapter 5 and 6, you're going to do great on this quiz. Once again, you get that done and completed by Sunday at 11:59 of week 4. So we should be doing good there. And that's all we have this week, one quiz. Understand that in the weeks to come, the workload increases a little bit. We have 3 deliverables or 3 assignments due next week. We only have the 1 assignment this week. So it'd be a good idea to start working on that paper prep and exploration, knowing that you only have 1 quiz this week. Don't really think of it as a break that we only have 1 assignment due, but it gives you an opportunity to jump a little bit ahead. At least find a topic, find a couple resources so that you don't have as much workload in the weeks to come. But that's what we have for week 4. I hope that you are really starting to absorb this information. I especially hope that these concepts of public administration, you start when you're listening to the news, when you're reading the newspaper, when you're reading a blog, when you're just scrolling through the internet, that you start understanding these concepts and you start looking through them through a little bit of a public administrator's view. That when the president makes executive orders, that the president isn't going to make any of that stuff happen. It's going to be public administrators that are going to take his wishes, turn them into policies, and make sure that the people enact them. When money is generated and it's distributed, it's going to be the public administrators that actually utilize that money and create policy that, or to create jobs, or that create programs. That these elected officials kind of think to create concepts, and public administrators put them into motion. So if we think of it through that lens, and that's just diluting it, that's only a concept of public admin. But if we understand that, and if we look at what our elected officials are wanting us, or their wishes, or their concepts, or their policies, or their orders, think of it as it's us public administrators that are putting that into motion. And how would a public administrator put it into motion is kind of the whole realm of what we're doing here. So I hope that we're starting to look through it in that lens. I hope that you have a continued blessed week. I'll be thinking of you and praying for your success this week. And if you have any questions at all, always feel free to ask me. Remember, if you have any issues at all, let me know. I assume that you have no issues if you're not getting a hold of me. And I don't want to be surprised with, I don't know what's going on, I didn't know a deadline or anything like that, when I haven't heard from you at all. That's the key. So my assumption is that all of you are doing great, unless I hear otherwise. So continue to have a great week. I look forward to reading and to interacting, to hearing some of your concepts if you have questions. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.